Hello again, everyone. Hope you guys can hear me. This is my second edition for this live streaming session where I'll be here to to help you with your problems in your business, in your startup. Any kind of questions you will have, I will try to answer them. My area of expertise are basically online business, startups, social marketing, SEO, content marketing, fundraising, business plan writing, blockchain, human resource management, M&A, which I actually sold to companies before, cost management. What else? Maybe I can just share with you my credentials. Just go here. Wait a minute. Okay, here you go. This is me on Wikipedia. You can read more about me here, or you can go to my LinkedIn profile. I'm a mentor at Angel Hack. I've been involved in 6 over, I think, hackathons and business competitions, which I will share with you the tips and tricks, the secrets on how to win a hackathon or a business competition. Apparently, recently we actually won a few in my startup, which is why I think it's fitting for me to share how did we do it. Okay, now without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the ways or the secrets of winning a hackathon or a business competition. Recently, my company, my startup LiveCrowd, actually won 2 and got into the finals of another 2 hackathons. We won the Universal Group, LiveCrowd, Universal Group competition, which is this Universal Music Group competition, where we won the challenge, which was published around during the pandemic time. Okay, another is that we have actually won. Let's just go here. We actually won the Amazon Raise Up Build-a-thon. This is very recent. This is like just happened last month, I think. Okay, and we also joined the Global Hack and also Hackathon at Home. So the results. Hackathon at Home. Okay, so that's us here, LiveCrowd, and we won the Universal Music Group competition. This is our press release. The Global Hack results. Overall winner is this guy, and we actually reached the top 10 for the arts and media, arts, creativity, media, and entertainment category, which is here. And another one that we reached the top 4 for the Hackathon at Home. All right, so now let's talk about how to go ahead and try to win this kind of competitions. First, you can go to my article here, which I wrote about it. I'm gonna post it on the live chat. Okay, now before I start, I'm just gonna share with you what I'm gonna do today. I'm going to share with you the secrets on how you can win hackathons and business competitions. The method are almost the same, but it can be a bit different. And I will share with you 2 freebies, which are the 2 business plan templates, professional templates that you can use to do business plan, to write a business plan, to do fundraising, or to do basically to brainstorm or to get more details about to put all your mind and thoughts about your business idea into paper. And also, I will talk with you about maybe how I've started my company and how I failed in some startups, which you want to know why and how, things like that. All right, so we're going to be here about an hour. So let's go ahead. Let's start with this one. How to win a hackathon from a judge, mentor, and participant perspective. I was a judge, mentor, and participant for a few hackathons, more than 6 now. I think like 7 or 8. All right. Now, A lot of times, okay, maybe I share with you all the hackathons that I was involved. I was involved with AT&T hackathon organized in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, and also in Los Angeles by AWS. And also I got involved as a participant in these few hackathons, like this one, this one, this one. A lot of times, one thing that you want to know, in order to win a hackathon, you're being judged for a short period of time during that pitching time. Okay, if you have a pitching time of about 5 to 10 minutes, including the Q&A, that's when the judges are going to judge you. So don't expect the judges to go and Google and find out more about your company. That's not how it works. A lot of times they don't do that. Now, when I judge, usually I try to Google, but a lot of judges actually don't do that. So you have to make sure that you get your story, your project, your presentation right within that short judgment time, which is about 10 minutes, usually, or less. You usually have a pitching time plus Q&A, all right? Now, that's when you'll be judged. So make sure that you deliver the right message to the judges. The judges can be someone from the domain area that they are involved with, or they can be a mentor plus judge, which is like me. Now, if you have a mentor and a judge together, you have a kind of like upper hand advantage because the mentor will be around talking to you a couple of times in order to understand your business. So when they come into the stage or below the stage to judge you, they actually have a predetermined idea about what your business is about because you have shared with him so much and he was involved with you, mentoring you during that hackathon or business competition. However, a lot of the times the judges, especially the chief judge, wouldn't be around. Hence, the chief judge wouldn't know what your business or project is about beforehand. That's the critical part that you need to know. You're being judged for a very short time and they have very little information about your startup or your idea or project. Now, let's move on. If you want to think about winning a hackathon or a business competition, come up with an idea which is very exciting. I will call it sexy, very trendy, very sexy. What's hot nowadays? Come up with ideas along that line. Now, for example, look at the latest technologies that is currently hot in the news. AI, blockchain, fintech, medtech, IoT. Something that solves the current pressing problems like, pandemic, COVID-19, racial inequality, climate change, stuff like that, virus protection, mask wearing, PPE, personal protection equipment, social distancing, things like that, okay? That's what you want to get the judges to be on the edge of their seats. If you have something that's interesting, hot, trendy, the judges will tend to like it. So you want to come up with projects that people like, judges like, all right? Something that's easy for them to be related to, okay? That's what you want to do, first of all, okay? If you have a project that's very vertical, very niche, I hope perhaps you should make it more common, make it more general, an idea or project which is more general to the general population, basically, that everybody could get involved with, could buy or could use your product or idea. Okay, apparently IoT seems to do well. Internet of Things. IoT basically are like devices where it's connected to the internet. Basically, that's how it works. Internet of Things. The things are devices. For example, your RFID, your mobile phone is a device. Your sensors, your all those kind of bunch of stuff. All right, those are IoT devices, and they are basically gadgets, things that people could see, something tangible, not software. So a lot of times, I've noticed that a lot of judges tend to like IoT projects because they could actually see the product right in front of the face when the team is presenting. So I guess because of the spirit of seeing is believing, People tend to like IoT projects because they could see what's happening and how the device actually works in front of their eyes, instead of just a software on a screen, you see. Now, an important part that I'd like to share with you is that it pays to know the judges. Now, sorry, before that, I'd like to move back to talking about this. The reason why, one of the reasons why I think that we actually won quite a few competitions recently is because we have a kind of a sexy project recently, which is a live crowd. Okay. Okay, now I'm just gonna check any how many people are watching right now. Cool, there's one person on Twitch. All right, now let's continue on. So how the idea of live crowd came about? We were at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and 2 weeks into the lockdown in France, all of events are canceled. Basically, music events, concerts were canceled. So all business is basically about ticketing, selling tickets to events and music festival. So 2 weeks down the line, we didn't have much to do. So I came up with this idea, and first I saw that people were actually medical workers are losing the morale of working because they're afraid of getting infected at the medical centers, doctors and nurses. So the morale were very low at that time. It just started, right? So we were thinking, why don't we get volunteers to sing and help to boost the morale of doctors and nurses who are battling this coronavirus at hospitals around the world. So we actually got a few volunteers of artists coming along and volunteering, live streaming directly to hospitals around the world. And within the first week, we got like 30 artists volunteering, and also we got our first virtual gig for a hospital. It was pretty quick. I just came up with this idea, and apparently a lot of people like this idea. A lot of hospitals actually liked the idea. Some of them liked it, but they couldn't have the capacity to run it. And so we got quite a few virtual concerts for hospitals, in fact. And when we share this idea with a lot of people tend to like it. I think it's a very cool idea, very cool project, especially at the times like this. Therefore, it hit me to go and apply for all these competitions, which are the hackathons and the business competitions. And we actually did well because I thought that we have something that's very exciting and trendy and especially sexy to tell the judges, and we actually won because of that. I don't usually join hackathons. I never actually join hackathons and business competition. I mean, hackathons especially. Before this, I usually mentor and judge hackathons, but this time I chose to join. Actually, we did pretty well. We actually reached the top, here you go, top 10 and on top 4, and we won 2 of it. So this applies considerably, all right? Now, next, it pays to know the judges because they are to be the one judging you. Hackathon is a very subjective sport. It's more subjective than ice skating and all the subjective sports you just watch on the Olympics, diving, gymnastics, etc. Why? Because different judges come from different backgrounds. They have different knowledge, they have different skills, different domain expertise. I was once, many years ago, I was judged by, this is a story. I was running a fantasy sports startup called FanXT. So, excuse me. There, I was pitching to this one judge, a Western judge, who actually disputed my business because he's saying that it is illegal for me to run my business because I could not use the names of the sports players, like football players, basketball players, etc. And he's told that it is not, I need to get the permission to do that. In fact, I don't have to. That's why today there's so many fantasy sports projects, so many fantasy sports games around the world. We don't do that because we don't have a sense of endorsement from each of those football players or sports players, so we don't need permission from them. But he thought that we have to, and he actually argued with me in front of the stage, which kind of made me look bad, and eventually I lost that competition. But eventually he came to me and tried to find more information and realized that he was wrong. I was so disappointed at the time. I was so upset at that time. So he, in fact, didn't know much about my domain area. So, like I said, it's very subjective. Okay, so you want to get, therefore, because of that, you want to get people, or you want to get an idea or project that's most relevant or most easy for people to know or to understand about. Something easy for them to relate to. Okay, try to avoid niche areas. For example, sports happened to me. For example, music can be very vertical. Any other areas, they can be very vertical, right? Come up with something that everybody could relate to, everybody could want to use. Okay, for example, another case in point, a story here. I was advising a team in a hackathon which had an idea for a clubbing app. You know, you go to drinks, dance at clubs, bars. But a few of those judges at the time were Muslims. They don't drink. Obviously, I told them, hey, you know, this is not a kind of project that they want to endorse. Okay, so it's better to change the idea. They changed it, and they got third place. How about that? Now, in the second, pick an idea that you could solve a recent pressing problem. Yeah, for example, I just mentioned to you live crowd. That's why we won 2 competitions, because we have a problem that can really solve the current situation. Social distancing, COVID-19, virus, etc. So, and especially during this COVID-19 times, this period, this season, a lot of hackathons actually pop up. There are a lot of hackathons have been run by a lot of people virtually around the world. So if you can go to just devpost.com here, devpost.com, and you can see a lot of that. All right. Okay, cool. Everything's working in order. I just want to check, make sure everything's fine, because a lot of times when you're streaming, you can't know what's going on the other side. Okay, just check here. Everything's right. Now, let's go back and where was I? Here. All right. Okay, now, a story to tell. In 2013, I was involved in a hackathon as a mentor, where a team came up with an idea for a speedometer app, where you can track the speed of you moving, especially when you're inside a vehicle, a moving vehicle. And the app didn't really work. You have a big team, one developer. The app actually kind of failed to work, but they have a really good pitch person, and they're actually trying to solve a very pressing problem that time. So they got second place. Not bad, huh? Another tip is that read the rules and always read them again. Rules are generally the same, but sometimes it can be different. So make sure you follow the rules. You don't end up breaking the rules. It's very important. Okay, but a lot of times competitions for business or hackathons have similar rules, which is here. The judging criteria, which is first, you have to be original. Your idea has to be creative, it has to be novel, something cool, sexy, people never heard of. That's the kind of stuff that they want. Well, that's kind of the purpose why they run hackathons anyway. Why we're gonna run the hackathons for ideas which has already been done, already been created around the world, right? It's very important, that first thing. Second, implementation of your idea. You have an idea, you have to show a prototype, how you implemented it, how you built it. Polishedness can give you extra points there. I know in the hackathons I went through, the chief judge always emphasized on polishedness, how beautiful your app would look, your device, how you package it, your UI design, user interface design, your graphics, your logo, things like that, because it shows effort. You see, hackathon is about effort and not just about winning. So Make sure you can demonstrate your product, your prototype when you pitch. Don't go up there with just a bunch of slides. It will make you look bad. Come up with something, maybe a wireframe diagram at least, like a market survey or whatever. Interviews of potential customers during that time of the hackathon, things like that. Go beyond that. Okay, always think about traction. Don't just think about ideas that people buy into your ideas. People want to see something more tangible, more concrete. Tangible, concrete. Seeing is believing. Remember, I mentioned earlier, IoT. Seeing is believing. They want to see a product. They want to see how you did it, how it works. Woo them on that area. All right. Lastly, impact and value of your idea. This is where how great is your idea, how you could change the world. How great is your project or your product. Woo them based on that. Wow, is this a game changer that's going to change the way how people work, how people fly, how people eat, how people socialize because of this new social distancing era that we're going to have? Things like that, Make them go crazy about your idea. Right? Now, one problem with a lot of hackathons is that a lot of times it's hard to judge whether someone actually built that project or idea beforehand, before coming to the hackathon. Because it's hard to know what you coded or what you did not code beforehand, before the competition. So what they do usually is that they ask you to submit your codes out to GitHub. So how do we know whether the code was written before or after? Look at the amount of lines that they have. If it has a lot of lines, chances are you might be cheating. But a lot of times they don't check this. It's just a way of deterrent. It's like a deterrent rule to kind of discourage people to not to code before that event. But after like 6 hackathons I went through, I have never seen someone being disqualified for uploading codes before the competition. But still, don't try to break the rule too much. Okay, I've seen one guy before. He came in, he registered. The team came in, registered. He left for the entire duration of the hackathon, which is like 2 days, and then finally he popped up again right at the pitching session and come up with jaw-dropping app, which is like fully completed, right? Obviously, I was the judge and I didn't buy that, so I didn't choose him as the winner, and we discussed about it with other judges. But then we did not disqualify the guy. We just don't think he's the right person to pick. Anyway, his product isn't that jaw-dropping. Other ideas were better. All right. Now, participants should follow strict rules during pitching. Yes, this is very important. All right. Follow the rules. Now, here's a catch. I was at the Global Hack as a participant, the globalhack.com, which I just showed you just now here. Now, let me tell you a story. During that competition, which is about 2 days, I think, or 3 days, I forgot, on the Slack, they mentioned a couple of times. They keep on saying that during your final pitch, you cannot use any slides or presentations during your pitching. You have to show a video of your working prototype and you explaining it, maximum 2 minutes. However, the winner, which is here, in this category, this guy, ISO Nation, they actually came out with a pitch which contains 50% of the pitch contains slides and presentation. It's just like it's in the recorded video. It's recorded as a video instead of showing the slides. So how smart is that? So they actually banned the rule, and apparently they did not get disqualified. So that is a problem with hackathons. People or the organizers are not always the people who always run hackathons or competitions. That's not their full-time job. So they tend to be inexperienced in running one. In fact, there were a lot of problems during the global hack, this one. There were problems managing the time, different time zones, managing the mentors, the participants, and even managing their own rules. So they actually allowed the winner to break their own rule. And the worst part is, now to add salt into the wound, during this, when they won this competition, this ISO Nation, one of the judges actually mentioned they had the best presentation of all the teams. Now, how odd is that? They actually broke the rule while having a so-called best presentation, because they did it in a very cool, compelling kind of video, including slides and presentation. And when we reported this, complained this to Maria here, and she said that, well, this is the first time running this competition. We'll be better next time. See? So a lot of times they don't really run the competition all the time. They don't work full time doing this. So things can be bent, especially the rules. Now, looking back at the global hack again. So you see that this is a category called Arts and Creativity, Media and Entertainment. Originally, there were actually 2 categories. What happened was, the idea was to have top 3 winners from this category, Arts and Creativity, and top 3 winners for Media and Entertainment, which was the category that we were involved in. Because of lack of number of participants, they say that ideas are more or less similar. They merged these 2 categories together and only award top 3 winners instead of 6. So again, see that things change. So it basically reduces our chances of winning by half, from 6 winners to 3. Another point to think about. Okay. Now, next point is know the organizers and their purpose of running the hackathon. Why are they doing this? Is there a reason? There must always be a reason. Reasons are always like, for example, a platform just launched a new API. They want people to start using their API. So you have to build your project around this API. Amazon Alexa was just launched. They want people to build apps for it, which was the hackathon that I was involved with in Los Angeles. So they want to come up with ideas of how people can utilize their new product, their new API, their new tool, and more. Facebook had a few hackathons which just happened last month. They were trying to find people to use their messenger platform, I think the live streaming platform, and more. Those are the reasons why people organize hackathons. All right. Now, my story is this. In this hackathon at home, this hackathon that I joined, the purpose, or it was organized by 2 organizations from Germany and France. Okay, and the idea was to promote projects that could help to that could help people staying in France and Germany. When I pitched, my project was actually for the global population, for the market around the world, not specifically for Germany and France. So when we only reached the final 4, I went to talk to the chief judge and asked him why we did not win, and he said that, well, this competition is mainly for Germans and French people. So we want to find some project that's more related to our markets, our own, local markets. Hence, we did not win based on that purpose, I guess. Okay. So you need to know the purpose of that. Why are they organizing this? So make sure you tap on that purpose. Build your project around that purpose. Another point, you must produce something. Don't come up with just a bunch of slides. Never work that way. Okay, especially not now. It's not difficult to build something nowadays. You have GitHub, you have open source, you have so many tools, gadgets out there to help you to build something nowadays, to help you to do prototyping. Get a bunch of people who can help you to build it, especially coders or designers, graphic designers, UI, things like that. Okay, so it's better that you have a team before joining the competition instead of after, so that you can get a team to help you to focus on different areas for your project. Okay. Next, find someone who can really pitch. This is very important because you'll be judged during that pitching time. Okay, it's a very short time. They will not have time to go and Google about your company, Google about you, find out who are your competitors, etc. In fact, here's another story. The winner here, ISO Nation, has a very simple idea which was already been built by someone 10 years ago. The idea was this: it's basically an online concert platform where anyone can go online, live stream their performance, sell virtual tickets for people to watch them play or watch them sing. Guess what? Stageit.com did that in 2007, and they're not doing too well, to be honest. They barely raised much of any funds. I think they only raised like $70,000 in fact. Their website's pretty old, their technology is pretty old, and the problem is this guy actually copied or shared the same idea, which was built 10 years ago. How interesting is that? And they actually won this competition. So my point is, the judges did not find out more about what they're doing. They did not Google about the competitors or the other companies who already have this idea. Alright? So really find someone who could really pitch and try to woo the judges during that short period of time when you pitch. It's very important. Okay? Now, that person who's supposed to pitch, he or she has to practice and make sure that practice really well and within the correct time frame. Okay? So it is your break or make or break moment. You do not want to exceed the time period, because if you missed out the critical points that you want to mention and you couldn't have the time to do it, you may miss out in trying to convince the judges. Okay, this is a very important part. Okay. Now here's a story that I like to share. You want to pitch and you want to prepare your pitch and you want to spot questions what the judges might want to ask you. Okay, now here's a story. I was a mentor for one hackathon, and one team wanted to build an app for Windows platform, not for iOS, not for Android. And so it's kind of peculiar. Everybody's building their apps for iOS and Android, but not. They're building on Windows. And I asked them why. And they said, well, we only know how to build on Windows. That's what he said. I said, no, don't say that. Don't say it to the judges when you present. Say that because the people are all building on iOS and Android platforms, I want to be different, we want to be different, so you just choose to build on Windows because there are lack of apps for that platform. So guess what? When they pitched, the chief judge actually asked them that exact question. Why you build on Windows? And they answered elegantly, just like what I told them to answer, and ended up winning the hackathon. That's about $9,000 cash prize. How's that? Alright, so my recommendations for preparing your pitch is this. Find someone who could really present and talk, okay? A salesman kind of person. A lot of times coders are not great speakers or great talkers or great presenters, okay? They tend to talk via coding, via the code, not by presenting. Get someone who could talk. Previously, I told you that one person in the team didn't have an app. They did not have an app that worked, but the presenter was so great, he was able to move people emotionally when she presented. Hence, they got second prize. Okay, don't use jargons. Okay, drop the jargon. Use easy to understand analogy. Okay. Make people understand what your idea is about. Okay, this is the hardest part. How do you do that within such a short period of time? I'll give you an example. LiveCry is about booking online singers and musicians. Think of live crowd like Airbnb. Instead of booking rooms, you actually book artists, musicians, or singers to live stream to your venues. Both platforms are booking platforms, but one is to book rooms, one is to book artists. That's the analogy that I use when I pitch live crowd. You can use the same. You can find your own analogy, all right? And a lot of times people say, I get it. Once you mention the Airbnb relation, they got the idea. Oh, I see. They all go, all right. You want to have that, I get it. That kind of expression from the judges. Okay. Second, drop the jargons. Don't use all those fancy jargons that tag people live or love to use. Drop it. Keep it simple. Remember. Okay. Remember to mention all the cool and unique features of your project. Things that make you different. Your USP, your unique selling proposition, your secret sauce. All right. Make sure you rehearse your pitch over and over again. This is very important. It makes you more relaxed, the pitch more relaxed. It makes you not to forget important points that you want to mention. And you could be able to deliver all your points within that time frame. Okay, a lot of times I found out that the presenters, they always exceeded the time. You gotta make sure that we win that time frame. Okay, now case in point is that I was pitching for this hackathon at home, and I missed out the critical part of my live crowd project, which is where you can do song requests, song dedications, you can do live chat, and you can even do virtual claps, like those you can send virtual hearts and claps to the artists so they can interact with them. So I totally missed out that point. And when the judges judged me, the chief judge actually mentioned that the idea is great, but it sounds very simple. Nothing cool about it. It's like what people have been doing online live streaming. So I actually forgot to mention about the web app that we actually included for artists when they perform. That's actually one of the key features that we have, which I missed out, which is why I guess one of the reasons why we didn't win. Action speaks louder than words. Don't forget to demonstrate your project and make sure it works. Make sure it works. Okay. Seeing is believing. Remember that? Seeing is believing. Action speaks louder than words. Show it to them. Yes, you should talk to deliver your message, plus show it to them. And last part, try spotting questions from judges. This is where the Q&A comes in. Okay, they will ask you questions and you can answer them elegantly, convincingly. Great. You might have a high chance of winning. But how do you spot questions? You spot questions by practicing your pitch with people that anyone, mentors, your partners, your competitors, strangers, etc., so that you can try to spot what kind of questions that they ask you. Okay, that's very important, because the judges may be asking the same questions, which I actually mentioned right here, right? Yeah, spotting question. So try to do that. Okay, and when you can spot questions, you can prepare the answers. You won't get too nervous about that. Immediately, the answers are all in your head. You just have to spit them out. Okay? It's very important. It's very useful for you when you pitch. Some people say that, I don't like to share my ideas with other people. Tend to be very secretive. There's bad thing about that is that when you don't share ideas, you don't learn what people think about your idea or your project. Okay, you need to get their feedback, because they will think differently than you. You are the idea generator. You came up with an idea. They may not like your idea, or they may not like certain part of your idea. So they'll help you to enhance your idea. Okay? When you're afraid of sharing ideas, try to do this. Don't share ideas with people that could copy your idea. For example, if you have an app idea, mobile app idea, don't share it with someone who is a programmer or app developer who could easily copy and get an idea and build one by themselves. Try to do that. So it makes life difficult for people to want to copy your idea, which usually doesn't happen. But still, if you're really afraid of that, do what I just said. Okay. And competition is all about human effort because hackathons came from the word marathon. So it's an endurance race. People want to see effort, how much you have delivered during that short period of time. Okay, so judges always are impressed by hardworking teams. So they always have honorary mentions of those teams who came up with a great idea. Maybe lack in certain areas, certain pitching aspect. Maybe the app didn't really work. But still, they tried and they did pretty well, I guess. So they liked the idea, so they gave them honorary mentions. So remember that, okay? Hackathons and business competitions are about human effort. Okay. So those are my tips and tricks or secrets of how you could win hackathons or business competition. It might help you in the future if you're joining any right now, especially nowadays because it's COVID time, things are not really moving smoothly. You can perhaps divert your brain or your time to do something else, which can be productive in the long run for you. So joining competitions will help you to enhance maybe that idea you might have in your brain that you're trying to accomplish. Okay, now if you really want to win hackathons, and in fact you can sometimes, I guess, because there's so many hackathons in the market, in the world, and some of them actually give cash prizes. You can actually join competitions and win prizes as you go about them. Okay, and you can actually make a living, not say a living, but short-term income or short-term, income, part-time income to do that. If you're, especially when you're a coder, or especially you have something compelling, like what we did. So, how you do is that you tend to join a lot of competitions, not because you want to win, but because you want to train yourself to practice. I was a competitive cyclist before. There are two ways for us to train. One is to train and then to race, or to race then to train. Race to train. Race to train means that you join a lot of races in order to train yourself to win the targeted race, for example. Right? That's how some cyclists actually, a lot of professional cyclists do. So do the same. You can join a lot of competitions, hackathons like this, in order to finally land the cash prize or the winning prize in your final few competitions. So you get the hang of how things work. You have your pitch ready already. Remember, you are pitching it same old pitch all over again. If you have the same idea, you have the same product. Some of them do not require you to build a product beforehand. Do not require you to build a product during the competition. You can submit a project beforehand. Okay, and you basically are more or less copy and pasting the same old idea that you have into different competitions. And you get better at that. So you get more feedback from the judges. Why they didn't like this, they didn't like that. Okay, that could help you to win hackathons eventually. All right, so that's all I have for today. So far, we don't have any questions yet. Okay, so what I do here is that I'm trying to do this experimental project here to get online and to help people with their problems in their businesses. Okay, if you have any questions, you can always ask me in that form I posted on the live chat here. And I'll be trying to get online every day to see how this works. So I will try to answer all your questions. You can post your questions to me prior to my online session, which I will answer them, or I can actually send you the video of when I answer your questions, and just mark the video at that specific time when I'm answering your question, so you can get your answers. Okay, so I hope to be online again, maybe tonight or tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys again. If you like this, please subscribe to my channel, whichever channels that you're at. Whichever platform that you're at. I'm using Periscope, I'm using Twitch, I'm using YouTube. Hello everybody on those platforms. I'm also streaming on Africa TV. I'm using this thing called Restream. That's restream.io. It's my first time using it, so hope it will work for the long run. Thank you so much for your time.